Great to catch up with Grant Burns. Been a while. G'day, Grant.
How are you, Marty? How's things?
Yeah, good. I'm with Seb Clark here today.
G'day,
You're,
Grant.
of course, from Premium Bloodstock, but you've got that important job of attracting all of the eastern staters across for the Pinnacles. How's it looking, and when does the plane arrive?
Plane arrives Monday. Very important job, Marty, that I took over from you. You know, with big shoes to fill, of course, all those years ago. Don't quite do as many lunches in Melbourne as you used to do.
Yeah, I had a lot of lunches to go through, yeah. Not just Melbourne either.
Not a bad gig. No, you used to travel far and wide to try and get him on the plane.
Correct.
Look, we've got the plane coming in Monday. As you know, Marty, it's one of those things. You're juggling, you've got balls in the air everywhere trying to make sure they get here. And once they step off the plane, it's good because they're actually here then. Nothing much can change once they get on the plane even. So, Monday evening they'll arrive with probably 2 or 3 maybe going around on the railway the following Saturday. And then a good contingent for the Winterbottom. And then they'll follow through. There's a couple of horses just coming for the Northerly. Also, the Gold Rush is a pretty popular race now, and there are a couple of cup horses on there too, which is good to see. You know, so there's a decent spread across the. We've only got 10 or 11. We lost Giga Kick today, but not lost him. He opted out to stay home, which is a bit of a shame. But I think the Winterbottom shaving up is a great race all the same. So.
How have the interest levels been in this year in comparison to previous years, Grant?
It's good. Look, I suppose the pleasing part is, look, Hayes is ascending 1, Kieran Maher's got 2, Bjorn Baker 2, Annabelle and Rob Archibald 2, Chris Waller 1, and then 1 each from Robbie Griffiths and Jason Warren. So, your big stables, when I refer to the Hayes, Maher, Archibald, Wallers, like they're the ones that you're sort of leaning on, hoping to come. They've got numbers and they can support it. But supporting it with decent quality too, which is the key, you know. So, look, there's a lot of racing on the East Coast. It's very easy just to zigzag from Sydney to Melbourne back and forth, and they're racing for $1 million every week, you know. So it's not easy, but the people that have been here before and had success, the Bakers, last year obviously we saw Kieran pick up a Group 1, Port Lockroy, of course, for Annabelle and Rob last year as well. So the fact they've had a little bit of success doing it also is a good carrot to dangle, the fact that it's not that difficult. It's a long way to come, but it's not as hard as everyone might seem to think it is, you know. So look, good to have the support of those big stables, that's for sure.
Heard about the news of Giga Kick, as you've mentioned. We heard that this morning. What did you hear yourself from the East, and have you got any sort of insight for us here on Friday Drive?
No, look, these horses are all, we can get carried away a little bit. Then, as I say, they're never here until they're here. And, Marty would know the same thing. I think one year we had Black Caviar here, look, it's hard. Look, that was a pretty tough testing track last week, a heavy track at Flemington, and he's a ripping horse. Like, he's great. He's in good form, and we're sort of hoping that they would keep going while he's in good form. But they've looked after him, they've nursed him back, and he's not without having probably a few little issues, which saw him have a bit of a lean period for 12 months or so. So, they're doing the right thing in looking after him, because he obviously had a bit of a taxing run. That's the mail I got, that he pulled up well, but he's probably, ready to have a little bit of a break now, albeit he's only had a couple of runs. So, look, disappointing for us, because it would have been great to see him come over here and take on a horse that I think is, our best horse that I've seen for a long time in Joker's Grin. He's an absolute beauty, and it'd be great to see him where he compares. I was talking to a couple of well-known trainers, Ascot trainers today, and they said, "Oh God, it's going to be a great race, and won't it be great if Joker's Grin perhaps got to an Everest or something next year, and this would be a really good test to see where he's at against the likes of a Giga Kick." But obviously not to be. But gee, take nothing away from the horse like Overpass, who's won north of 12 million. He's a beauty. No, I don't think any horse ran better in the Everest this year than he did. He was brave, other than he only ran third, but it was a hell of a run from Overpass, and he's a beauty. So no, the Winterbottom I think is shaping up pretty well. There's a Ray Magneria of Robbie Griffiths has won the Caulfield Sprint a couple of starts ago. Benedetta is a Group 1 winner of the Goodwood, as well as Overpass, and what else? Libertab, who ran fourth behind Giga Kick the other day in the Champion Sprint. So they're pretty good sprinters, they're horses that have all won the best part of $1 million or more themselves, So it's shaping as a good race, and along with our local sprinters, it'll be a beauty, a really good addition to the race.
Hey, Grant, so you can get the full list of horses that are coming?
Look, at this stage, it's probably looking like, so for the Winterbottom, we've got, as I mentioned, Ray Magnerio, Benedetta of Kieran Mars, Libertad of Annabelle and Robs, and Overpass of Bjorn Bakers. For the Railway, it's probably looking like Osipenko of Chris Wallers, along with a horse called Depth of Character, who's the Queensland Guineas winner of Annabelle and Rob. They train it. And from there, Iona Mirth, who runs tomorrow, it's the Ajax winner. Another horse of Bjorn Bakers. It's a chance of running in the Railway. It does go around tomorrow, so whether they run tomorrow, then put them on the plane and then run again Saturday will be yet to be decided. But that's probably the Railway chances. A horse like Apulia is potentially heading for the Perth Cup, but will probably have a run on the way through. Whether that's a Northerly or something like that. That's the Hayes' horse. It's won its last 2 starts, won the Chested Manifold on Oaks Day. Grand Piero runs at Newcastle tomorrow. He's heading towards the Cup. He's owned by Grand Syndications, owned by our good mate Peter Morley's crew. So that's it's great to have him here. Vivier's another one of Kieran Mars, won the 5 Diamonds last start. Winner of best part of 3 million. So she'll probably head towards the Northerly. What have I missed? I think that might be about it. Subject to change. You never know. Something might get on or get off between now and Monday, of course, because it's another 3 days yet. Lots happened this week, I can tell you that. It's chopped and changed a fair bit over the last 7 days. So won't be surprised if it changes before Monday.
Yeah, that's the nature of this beast, isn't it? And, as you said, the landscape's really changed in the last 3 or 4 years since, Peter Volandi's got to work with Racing in New South Wales. And that Hunter for $1 million, 1,300 metres sort of doesn't really help us that much, does it?
No.
A lot of horses there could easily be over here.
Yeah, and even the CF4 tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like it's a race that, we bring a plane out of Sydney direct to Perth. We've found that there's more horses out of Sydney in the last couple of years, so we chartered a plane from Sydney to Perth, and on the way back they go to Perth, Melbourne, which is, sort of mix and match. But the reality is those horses running in an ore, they've then got to get on a truck and get to Sydney Sunday night so we can get them here Monday, because we've got to get them here Monday before a Railway. We don't want them getting here any later than that. So that's a big impost, to ask them to do that. So, those races just sort of popping up at, I guess they've been putting them there because they think there's a gap in the programming from the East Coast. But like for us, it hurts us a little bit for sure. It's, there's.
Sorry, Grant, but I don't like the move of the Ore to where it is. I thought it had a great spot, in the autumn, kicking it off, and that used to be one of the races that you'd start to target, winners or place getters. I know it's a long way out when it used to be in March. I reckon it was in March, wasn't it? March, April, somewhere like that.
Yeah.
But that'd give you an idea of the sort of horses to keep an eye on going forward into the Railway. But now it's not. Okay, Jimmy Star's a terrific horse. Evaporate would be a horse. He'd be a great Railway horse, I'd imagine, Evaporate,
Well, he was down to come.
He was down to come.
That's a perfect example.
Yeah.
They're the sort of horses that were potentially looking at coming. And unfortunately, you miss them because it's easier to take them, a couple of hours down the road than it is to get them all the way to Perth.
Bazasto, he's another I noticed was non, wasn't it? Was Bazasto not?
Correct.
Yeah.
Bazasto was. 100%. He's owned by Melbourne Connections, Mithano and those guys at Rosemont, so they're like, we'd rather go to Caulfield and watch them run than come here. And I understand it. It's easy. These races now, you pick up a best bets on a Saturday, and there's the reality is there's $1 million races you've never heard of before. Once upon a time, the $1 million race was a big deal, and you knew the name. It was a time-honoured race, whereas now there's
pop-ups.
It's just the way the landscape's changed, So if the trainers say, well, we just want to go around for prize money, we're not so much, chasing the black type necessarily. Well, I understand, So that's okay. We just got to work a bit harder and try and keep luring people back here. They try and give them a good time when they get here and a good experience. And so far, we don't want them to take all the spoils, that's for sure. We want the locals to get their fair share, but it's also it's not a bad thing when they pick up a little bit because it might lure them back again next year.
Hey, Grant, how are the nerves with Luana Miss tomorrow?
Look, there is nothing I can do. Nothing I can do. Completely out of my control, which is a good thing.
Yes.
Trevor's very lucky. You mentioned this. Did all give him plenty of advice.
Yeah, that was on Wednesday. Seb asked if there's any speed maps. He said speed maps
coming out of everywhere.
Yeah. The good part is he's not a great listener, which is a great thing. So he won't listen to us anyway. No, look, she's a beauty. Look, I I'm a realist. You know, you go there hopeful, not confident. She's done a good job. She's pretty fast.
Yeah.
A little bit of luck, well, she'll hopefully be right in it. Can run a really good race. But yeah, we're just crossing our fingers and hoping more than anything else. I've had my backside kicked enough times to know it's not easy. So
exactly right.
Go there with hope. And by that time, by 5 to 5, we'll have had a couple of celebratory drinks throughout the day for some reason to celebrate someone. So we won't be too concerned. We'll just hope for the best.
Thanks for coming on, mate. We've got to get to Pakenham for the 5th. All the best.
See you guys.